Always something with YouTube. Hey, Jerry. This YouTube business is just, hey, Randy, this YouTube business is ridiculous. Hi, Wilmer, Dwight, Dwayne, Art, yeah, Anthony, the Carver, how are you? I apologize for this. Every time I do a live stream on YouTube, something goes wrong, so I don't know. And you can see me, that's good. Oh, the numbers are going back up again. Yeah, Caboose, that's right. Murphy's Law. Did I miss someone? Nora, Martin, Searsma, hey. And if I'm looking down, it's because my camera's up here, but my computer screen's down there, so that's why it looks like I'm looking down. Yeah, I think it was Heath's fault, Jerry. Nora, Chasco. Anthony, I think I said hi. I'm not sure. If I didn't, hello. Hey, John. It has, John. Yeah, I have, and I'll show you all that in a minute. Murphy was an optimist. So do we have everybody here? I hope not. Hey, Vinny. That's it. That's it, Anthony. This is my tea glass. Hi, Dave. Yeah, Wilmer, you probably hear several engines idling. So, hey, Drew. Oh, Uncle Wilmer's here in the house too. Thanks, Nora. Dwight. We will. I'll get started here in just a minute. I want to give everybody time to get in here, but it's already 10 minutes after. How about that? There's Sparky in here. Hey, Sparky, how are you doing? Good to see you. I know everybody wanted to see Benny tonight, but he life gets in the way, so he wasn't able to do it, and he asked me to take over for him this evening, and so I was more than glad to. So I get my cursor away from the end stream button. So, since it's 10 after, I'll get started. I know everybody's still saying hello. So, hello to everybody. Hope I didn't miss anyone. So tonight, Wilmer gave me a good idea. So if you noticed on Wilmer's last On Track Tuesday, he was showing off his favorite cars. So I'm not going to do that exactly. Hey, John, School Kill. Hi, Nathan. I'm not going to show off my favorite cars, but I'm gonna show my engines, and maybe we can we can talk about that some. But first, before we start, I'm gonna show you what I've done so far. So if you can see, coming out of the yard, it comes around, and then I've got my marshalling yard for my paper mill laid. And so my paper mill is going to go all the way up at the end of the peninsula up there. So that was another big deal, getting all four of those tracks laid in there. So, and then as soon as I can, I'm going to continue on around the peninsula to get to the other side and see what we can do. So, but the big thing tonight is, I know you hear all of the engines. So there is, what I'm going to do tonight is show you all of my locomotives that I have here. These are, this is my fleet so far. Wow, Randy, that was great. So Vinny, my layout room is 14 by 34, so it goes around the wall, and then up a peninsula in the middle, and then around the other side, and there's going to be a lift out section up at the front door up there, if you can see. So it's going to be so if I wanted to, I can run trains all the way around. So try not to make anybody dizzy here. So, but I just thought I would, get some discussions going about locomotives. So that's what I'm going to do this evening, and hopefully we'll get through them all, or I might get it done in 5 minutes, and y'all have to make up something else to do. Let's see. Hi, Iron Horse. How you doing? Too late for Dizzy, is it, Wilmer? So I'm going to start here in the middle because I just have this sitting over here. I'm going to grab this. This is a, as you can see, the wheels are not on this because something's wrong with the motor. So I'm going to go ahead and fix it up and probably use it to run around in the yard for the paper mill, even though it's a Burlington. The reason I want to keep this locomotive is my grandmother actually bought me this locomotive when I was about 12, I guess, 12 or 13. And so I always liked switchers. So I really wanted, it's just an AHM. It's just, I guess it's more sentimentality than anything else. The problem is I don't know where I'm going to put a a decoder in this thing because it's the size of the shell, the weight and all. So I'll have to figure something out. But that's it. And they're not all DCC equipped yet, but they all will be DCC with sound eventually. I have, just buying DCC decoders for every locomotive. I mean, with the Keep Alive and the speaker, you're talking $100 a pop, so it can run into some money real quick. So, yeah, it's funny. This paint fade is natural. It wasn't. It didn't come like that. It was a little less faded when I originally got it. So, but over the years since I've had it, 45 years or so, it's kind of faded on its own. So I've got a mix in here. As far as decoders, there's a mix of TCS decoders and Tsunami 2s. So I started out with Tsunamis, and I personally have had a lot of problems with them. So I moved to TCS decoders. So, and the big problem I've had with Tsunamis is if you put a locomotive on a shelf for a few weeks, then you pull it off the shelf, all of a sudden it's lost all its programming, and I have no idea why. So, no, Nathan, I don't. The only locomotive I had from when I was a kid is this Burlington, and like I said, I'm in the middle of working on it. There's something wrong with the motor. So, but I did have this when I was a kid, and I'm going to fix it and eventually upgrade it to DCC. So as you can see, Vinny's asking me what I'm modeling. Obviously, it's Kansas City Southern. So every locomotive here except that little Plymouth Switcher is a KCS locomotive. So the year I'm modeling is 1976. So that gives me it's HO scale, Noah. The year I'm modeling is 1976. So the problem is with that, I have to change something about. Hi, Joe. I have to change something about almost every locomotive I get. There's nothing that comes straight out of the box that represents that particular era. So that's kind of annoying. But that's what I've been doing. So I'm going to start over here with this F3, and you've seen that on some other videos. So this particular F3 was really faded and beat up before it was painted. It was painted in '77, repainted white. So prior to that, it was in the red paint scheme, and you can see how much I've faded it. Yeah, you can use Sparky. You can use N-scale decoders in HO locomotives. The only thing is normally the amperage for the speakers is it's 1 amp instead of 2. But a lot of HO scale decoders are 1 amp also, so it doesn't. It's just however you have to install it. Hey, Crooked River and Eastern. Good to see you in here, man. All right, so that's my old F3. The next one, I can get a little bit closer. There's an SW7. I don't know how well this thing is focusing. Uh, so Martin, that's a good question. It it really depends. You can weather first and then apply graffiti, or you can apply um, the graffiti and then weather. It really depends on the individual piece of rolling stock. Because sometimes you see graffiti and it's brand new, and then sometimes it's been on the car for months. So that's a good question. So you can do it either way. The only thing is, remember, if you use decals, gloss coat first, decal the solva set, and then gloss coat after it gets dry, and then dull coat. So that's my SW7. That is a Broadway Limited. Now, moving on to a Jeep 30. So, and you can see in the 70s, KCS had a variety of paint schemes. So, this is Jeep 30. I actually have 3 of these red ones. I just have to renumber them, of course. So, because in 1973, KCS started renumbering their locomotives. So you can see that this one is 105, but once it's renumbered, it'll be 4105. Still in red, though. And they also had 2 Jeep 30s at that time that were in the white paint scheme, 4109 and 4110. So. Hey, Lee, how are you doing? So, Nathan, what's my favorite brand? I really don't have a favorite brand per se. I do like the Atlas and the Kato stuff, but I normally have to go with whatever I can, if I'm looking for specific locomotives, get what I can. I'm limited anyway, not only on the years, but on Kansas City Southern. Getting the older KCS stuff is just almost impossible. So. Actually, it's funny you say that, Sparky, because in the 90s, KCS did have a 2-tone blue unit. It was kind of a medium blue with a light blue stripe down the center of it. So it was kind of horizontally down the center. So that's funny you say that. But unfortunately, I'm modeling the 70s, so I won't have it on my wall. John, I've painted a lot of them. I didn't paint all of them. Some of them came the way they were, but I'd say about 10 of these locomotives I've painted. I painted the F3 there. I painted the SW7, and then a couple more I'm fixing to show you. A few more I'm fixing to show you. I painted myself too. So anyway, there's the 2 Jeep 30s in the red scheme and also in the white paint scheme. Let me know if I missed somebody's questions. It's hard to work the camera and still look down at the questions that are coming up. Yeah, and that red Jeep 30 is actually a Walker's, so it's a Proto 2000. And those red Jeep 30s, and to some degree the white ones, were just, I don't know, Walker's must have produced a million of them because I see them on eBay constantly. And then you can pick them up at train shows. The problem is you can pick them up at train shows for $30 or $40, and then you see people putting them on eBay for $100 plus shipping. Well, guess what? They're not going to sell very much. So they do not have decoders. Well, I take it back. These 2 do have decoders in them because I put them in there. Uh, so the red one doesn't have sound in it, but the white one does. But the red one will eventually get a sound decoder one of these days. So Nathan, what if I had a chance to drive a locomotive? Oh, that's kind of hard. You know, I like the F units because it's just a classic locomotive. But I also like the Jeep 7s too. But if I got a chance to drive one, I probably wouldn't turn it down no matter what type it was. Well, Lehigh, on the white one, it's a Tsunami, so it's a soundtrack sound. So both the red one has a non-sound soundtracks, and then the white one has a Tsunami 2. And then here's a Jeep 7 I just did recently. I didn't paint this one, but I added a lot of detail to it. So it should be. And you know what? I'm going to set my camera down because I've got my watch on, and I'm going to lay my watch across the rails and short everything out. So that Jeep 7, I just made a video probably 6 or 8 months ago. About 6 months ago, showing the details I did on it. It's got a TCS decoder in sound. And then one I've been showing you, but I never can seem to get it finished, is this Jeep 38. I finally got it, and now this one I did paint because it came undecorated. It's an Atlas. So I finished painting it and weathering it. The only thing I need to do is put I'm modifying the front porch because I don't know what Atlas was thinking when they did their Jeep 38s, but the front porch on it looks nothing like it should have. So I'm still in the process of kind of modifying that. But the rest of it's pretty well done except for the windshield wipers. So I had to change a few things out on it. The dynamic brake section that came with it didn't have the extended range dynamic brakes, so I went ahead and put those in there. So, and you can tell the extended range dynamic brakes just by, I wish I had something to point with. You know what? I will set this out of the way, and I'm going to set my computer up so the camera cord reaches a little bit better. So this is the extended range section on the dynamic brakes right there. So most of the Jeep 38 you'll see that come from Atlas or Athearn, they stop here. And so this little section is an added section. I found somebody that makes those on eBay. So that's that's the Jeep 38 I just finished, and I really like the TCS WOW decoders because the one thing I like about it is they have that nice crossing horn that you can use. I think it's the F4 function on them, and that's I really like the sound of that crossing horn that they use because it has that quill to it instead of just a straight clean horn sound. So, and eventually most of my stuff will look this dirty. So one thing I remember about growing up about KCS is they I don't know if they never had a wash rack or if they they never used it or what, but their engines are filthy. So you want to hear the horn on that one, okay? I'm going to put this camera down and see if I can push it back a little bit. There we go. So hang on a second. Let me grab my. I still got a unit that's connected by a cord, so I got to grab it down here. But let me do that. So I will let you hear the horn on that. Yeah. Yeah, so I think that's and that's just the volume they are, and using the little speaker I did. If you go back and look at one of my videos, I think the speaker box worked out great, and it's got a nice tight seal on it. So I like it. I really like the sound on those TCS decoders. So, but I saw several people mention it. But you're right. The white paint scheme, it just got filthy. It was just, the dirt just showed everywhere on that thing. Yeah, John, those speakers they're dirt cheap, and they have a good sound. So I forget what size they are, 16 by something, 16 by 40 millimeters, something like that. All right, so that's my Jeep 38. Yeah, John, 16 by 35. Maybe that's it. So behind it, I've got a string of SD40s. So this is one of my SD40s. I've renumbered the side of it. And here's another thing: if you can see those numbers, I don't know how well it'll focus. This particular camera will focus on that, but scale, those are 3-inch numbers. So is it? Hopefully, it's not getting too loud. So anyway, KCS started out using, when they went to the white paint scheme, they used those little 3-inch numbers on the side of the cab, tiny little things, and those are Athearn ready to run or ready to roll, whatever Athearn calls them. And so when they come from the factory, they have the 6-inch numbers like on that one. So that's one thing I've been doing, is I've been taking the large numbers off and putting the small ones on. So, and by the way, I don't know if you can see it, Wilmer, but since you're here, it won't focus too bad. But there is an F on the front of my engine, so I do have the F right there. So just so you know. So anyway, I'm renumbering this one. It was 646, but now it's 656. And then this one, I don't know what I'm going to renumber it to yet. I haven't decided. So, hey, Roy, how you doing? Yeah, it's actually not a phone, Sparky. It's just a little HD camera. So yeah, these aren't the gray ghosts. These are the white ones. So before the gray ones, the gray they didn't start painting. KCS didn't start using the gray paint until '84. So they prior to that they were using white. From the late '60s, they started painting their SD40s white, and then they were white up and well, they were still up into I think around 2000. The last white one got painted. So anyway, this is like I said, I put the small numbers on that cab. That one I haven't. I've taken the numbers off, but I haven't renumbered it. And now, coming to what everybody has probably seen before, are my two bicentennial units. And this is one reason I'm modeling 1976 is because of the bicentennial year. So Kansas City Southern had two bicentennial units. The first one was 616 was an SD40, and that's it. And then the second one was an SD40-2, and that was 642. So there were some subtle differences between it, uh, partly because of the unit itself, but there were some slight differences between the two. This one's weathered. That one I'm not going to weather. I'm going to leave it like it's fresh out of the paint shop. So yeah, yeah, John. Those are yeah, right, Drew. They are numbers that I from time I was growing up. Right. Um, but these were the bicentennial unit paint scheme was designed by a fifth grade girl who won a contest, and so that's what KCS went with. A lot of people call them the Crayolas for obvious reasons. Yeah. So that's what they look like. That's the SD40 616, and then that's the SD40-2 642. So. Yeah, I don't really have anything else, Anthony. Hey, Steve. Um, just KCS. So I don't have any Southern units. So, one thing you'll notice about the bicentennial units, it doesn't say Kansas City Southern anywhere on them. The only really markings it had was the number board, and then it had those stars on the side. So thanks, Art. So so that's the two bicentennial units Kansas City Southern had. And the subtle differences, I mean, I know most people probably wouldn't know because if you've never seen them, most people don't even believe these are real. So, but they were. You can Google them and find photographs. So there were a couple little things like you see that small white stripe on the side here. There that wasn't on the SD40-2, and also you can see. You got a white panel, a light blue, and a narrow white one, and then a red, and it kept more even across the back of the dash too. So some things like that, like the stars were pointing straight up, and on the dash two they were angled a little bit. So that's kind of yeah, it does look like Uh, I've heard stories that the engineers are embarrassed to ride in those units, so I don't know how true that is. Yeah, Randy. No, come on, Wilmer. I wouldn't be the only one that noticed that. Yeah, they do. They do. Randy, they do remind you of the Partridge Family bus, right? But I was lucky enough to find a picture on eBay taken from kind of a high point. So when I painted this one, I actually knew what the top colors were because nobody, including the KCS Historical Society, had any information on it. So the top colors were indeed green, silver, and red like that. So. And then there's another SD40-2, and then back in the back, that's a. Oh, I meant to tell you, this is the SD40 is a Kato unit, and then of course this is one of the Athearn units, and then here's another Kato SD40, and then there's another Athearn. So those are all Athearn. The two here and the two up here are the Athearn units. Hey Ray, how you doing? Hopefully I haven't missed anybody else that's come in. Yeah, we've myself and a buddy of mine tried to ask Athearn to make those, and nobody wants to touch them. So I don't know why. And James, how you doing? No, hey Steve, how you doing? No, there's no. There were really no steam engines running at that time. I don't think in the 70s people or railroads really cared about bringing back steam locomotives just to, just for excursions or for advertising. They had just got rid of them 15 years prior, so they hadn't been gone that long, and so nobody really cared about that kind of stuff as far as the railroad themselves. So they're doing it because steam locomotives are somewhat of an oddity. They've been gone so long now. Now they've been gone 60 years. So. All right. So I'm going to go back here and just show you my Jeeps. I've got 3 Jeep 7s right there. So KCS had a series of Jeep 7s, 4150 to 4161 were all Jeep 7s. And so I've got 3 of them here, 4150, 51, 4160. Oh, and I do have one more. I've got this one up here that I showed you earlier, 4153. So the 4150 through 54 were actually Jeep 7s. 4155 was rebuilt to a Jeep 9 standard. And then 4156 through 61 were all Phase 2 Jeep 7s. So, and then they had a few Jeep 9s, which I don't have any. I might get some in paint. Who knows? So. And no, Randy, I don't have any Southern Bell units because it's since I'm modeling 1976, it's too late for the Bell, which the last one ran in '69. So I don't have any kind of freight stuff, or I'm sorry, passenger stuff on So, yeah, Drew, and I'll get the switchers in a minute. The Jeeps I have, this one's an Atlas. These two are Atlases, and this one's a Proto 2000. So I didn't have too much trouble doing a sound install because I use that generic sound decoder, the smallest one that they make. And so I use that for everything. And so I don't have any problem fitting things inside of it. So anyway, yeah, James, I think they are, but I don't know what phase, because there was phase 1, 2, and 3, which, as you know, phases don't really exist in the world of EMD. That's something made up by rail fans. So, but there are, I'd have to see it. One of KCS's Jeep 7s that was built to the Jeep 9 standard, 4155, was what people would consider a 7 or a Jeep 9 phase 2. There are other ones, 62 through 64 or 5, were actually what people would say is a phase 3. So. All right. Hey, Anfield, how you doing? Glad to see you here. Okay, so back to the locomotives. There's my MP15. That's an Atlas, and it's sound now. I had to do the sound install on that. That's got a Tsunami decoder, 4365. 4311 is an SW7. It's a Broadway limited, and it came with sound. And then I've got 1222 here, which I'm going to have to renumber to 4222. So it's an SW7, and it's Broadway limited as well. Now I do have a Kato NW2 that I don't have out here. So the Kato NW2 is going to have, I guess it's going to have sound. I haven't figured out how, because on that NW2 the entire inside is filled with frame, and the gears are held inside the frame, so there's no way to cut. You know, if I cut the frame, then then the gears won't be held inside. So I haven't figured out what in the world I'm going to do with that. So, yeah, 1222 is good. I got that at I got 1222 there at a train show, the last one I went to, in fact. So, yeah, James, I don't know. If I figure out a way, I'll let you know. But I haven't figured out a way yet to put sound in that Kato NW2. So we'll see. I might have to remotor it and re-gear it and do everything. So, and it might just not be worth it. So we'll see what happens. So I don't have that NW2 here. I have 2 F units that I didn't bring out. One of them you saw me working on several videos. I still haven't finished it. And the other one's an F7. And I haven't finished it either. And like I said, I've got 2 more of those red Jeep 30s that I don't have sitting out here. So the last set of engines I have is I've got an ABA unit. These are Proto 2000s, and and they are rare. I don't know why they made so many of the Jeep 30s, and you can't find the F7s that Proto 2000 made. So when they do come up on eBay, they're expensive. So anyway, there's two F units. One's 89, this one's 93, and then a booster unit in between them. So that's those are great if you can ever find them. But I these are the only three I've ever seen come up. So yeah, they're red, but they're going to be faded and painted, and they're going to end up looking like this guy over here. So. So anyway, that's except for what I told you is not out here, that is my locomotive fleet. And as you can see back there. See if I can get this camera positioned so you can look at it instead of me. Nobody wants to see me. Anyway, there we go. So how did the railroad start becoming a railroad for the real railroad that you like? Reading and Northern start off as buying lands in Conrail. So Kansas City Southern's actually been around since the 1800s. So if you, they started out because there were really no railroads running north-south. Most railroads were running east-west at that time. And so that's why Kansas City Southern started as a north-south route. If anybody knows, if you've ever heard of Port Arthur, Texas, Port Arthur is actually named for the founder of Kansas City Southern, Arthur Stilwell. So that's where that name comes from. So, for a while, in the 30s, Kansas City Southern bought Louisiana and Arkansas Railway, and Louisiana and Arkansas ran under their name up until the 90s when they got rid of the name. Yeah, Wilmer, Conrail came in. I think Conrail started in 74, if I'm not mistaken. So, see you, John. I think Conrail started in 74, so I know I have a Conrail box car. I don't have any Conrail engines, though. Although there was, every once in a while over the Kansas City Southern, you'd see other railroads run, if the tracks were closed somewhere. So, I mean, it could be at some point I would get some other road names on here, but I just don't right now because I've got so many. How many cars can one of my switchers pull? They are known to be really... well, Drew, I don't know. I haven't tested it. I've tested out this F unit. This is a Stewart. And I was pulling 21 cars with it on a level grade. So I don't know how many the switchers can pull. Probably at least 10 or 12. So and I can always pair them up. So con system if I needed to do some work in the yard where I was pulling a really long train. So I think I'm going to limit my trains to about 20 cars. So I don't think anything above that's really a concern. I'll still run consist most of the time, at least 2 engines. And probably if I'm running my F units, I'll always have the B unit in between them. So let's see. Did I miss anybody's question? And if you ever want to know, this is the what's really hard to pull with an engine is this car right here. This car is really hard to pull. So this is so I've got to probably put about 5 engines just to pull this one car, just because it's loaded down so much. Oh, that's good, Nathan, because that's what I like. I like the old Jeeps and the F units. I don't care much for I don't care much for modern locos. If I never saw another Tier 4 Gevo, I would be so happy. I prefer the older units myself. So Roy asked about the paint scheme. So let's see. The black paint scheme started when the switchers actually came black, like the NW2s that KCS has and the SW7s. They actually came black. At the same time, the F units they were running were red, yellow, and black. The passenger F units were red on the top with yellow down the sides. And then the freight F units were yellow on the top with red down the sides. So, and then the whites, the white units, they started painting those in 68 or 9. KCS was actually the first railroad to buy SD40s, and they were delivered white. They painted that same year. Jeep 304109 had a wreck, and it was red, of course. But when they repaired it, they painted it white, and they kind of phased the white in over the 70s. By the end of the 70s, everything was white. So you saw the passenger and freight schemes, red, yellow, and black, run concurrently with the black switchers. So, and then in the 60s they started just the solid red, like for the Jeep 30s and things like that, and then they phased that into the white. So, and it took them, it takes them several years to. That's why the 70s is so interesting, because you had all the paint schemes at one time. So Ray Central said, what got me started in model railroading? Well, I always loved trains. In fact, when I was little, my grandfather used to take me to the passenger station, and we'd just watch the trains come in and out. We would never go on one, but we'd watch the trains come in and out, and we would watch the people get on and off the train. So that was pretty interesting. And then, of course, Kansas City Southern, and that was Kansas City Southern's Union Station. And then, of course, growing up near the railroad tracks, it was always interesting to me. And then I got my first train set when I was 10. It was HO scale, and I haven't always had a layout, but I've always had my trains, and so it's. And sometimes I was buying trains even when I didn't have a layout. So I just collected over the years, and that's kind of what got me started. Just the interest. My grandfather, taking me to the passenger station, that kind of stuff. So. Yeah, so Sparky, you won't. It's funny that nobody manufactured a KCS Jeep 38 in white. So that was kind of interesting to make one. I had to paint it myself, but they did. I think Athearn did do one in gray because in the 80s they switched to the gray paint scheme. I think they thought it wouldn't look as dirty, and it was just as cheap as the white paint scheme. So. And that's why they went with white, actually, because it was cheap, and that was really the only reason. I agree with you, Nathan. Modern locomotives do look boring. They all look the same. So it's yeah. There's no difference. I mean, I look at a SD70 or a Tier 4 Gevo, and I almost can't tell the difference. Maybe it's just because I'm not used to them as much. So, but so that, and they all have that big funny muffler on the back of the exhaust. So. All right. Well, gosh, it's after 7 already. I can't believe this. This time just flew by. Guys, I really enjoyed it. Glad I got the opportunity to do this. I hope Benny will be back with us next month. But this was really enjoyable. If y'all want to promote your channels real quick, go ahead. So. Sure thing, Jerry. Yeah, same for me, Randy. They all look the same. I hope. Thanks, Art. I hope y'all learned something. And it wasn't just me rambling on. So, but as you can see, because I grew up next to the Kansas City Southern, that was always what I modeled. It was always my favorite. Which is funny because my first train set had a Chessie F unit in it. That was my first train set, a lifelike train set with a Chessie F unit. So. Well, let's hope not, Sparky. Let's hope it doesn't die. I appreciate everybody being here this evening and taking time to listen. So I hope I did Benny some justice. If I have a choice to pick one train sound, horn sound, or whistle, well, it's just I'm so used to the horns. I really didn't grow up with the whistles, so that's why I'm kind of partial to the horns. I guess if I grew up with a steam whistle, I'd probably be partial to it too. So Ray's got 127. I think everybody in here, you can get them up. So. Thanks, Wilmer. 359, Peterbilt air horn. All right, Roy. Oh, no, Art. KCS had, they had the A200s on some of the F units. They had the M5s. They had the M3, Nathan M3s. They had the P3s. They had Leslie RS5s on their SD40s at first, but they've changed those to Nathan's. And they were all over the map on horns. And when something would go into the shop, the horn would change. Not only sometimes the horn itself, but the location of it. It was crazy. There was never anything standard about KCS's horns. So, all right, John, it's School Kill 500 subscriber giveaway. Entries open till November 30th. Great. See you, Sparky. Hi, whatever. Sorry you missed it. We're just wrapping up here, but hopefully you can go back and watch it and see what we were talking about. We were kind of talking about my engine fleet. So I do appreciate it, everybody, and I will talk with you next time. Take it easy.